Has our reality shifted into an alternate dimension? Have we been teleported to the other side of the galaxy, onto a flat Earth? Or maybe the programmer of this hologram has decided to reboot it. That's going to be the topic here on this next episode of Beyond Polarity. You're probably already familiar by now with the Mandela Effect. If you aren't and you're a newbie, very quickly, a lot of people clearly remember that he died in jail. Me and a lot of other people remember him being released and going on to doing some other things before he died. Now, if it was just this one incident, it wouldn't be a big deal. But there has been a cascade effect where it's just fucking beyond weird, beyond belief. So let's get started with some examples. If you've already delved into this topic, you're already familiar with the Berenstein, Bear dilemma, and that could be some simple typo. In and of itself, it's not significant, but it continues to go on and on and on. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Is it a beautiful day in the neighborhood, or is it a beautiful day in this neighborhood?
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighborhood.
Could have sworn it was the neighborhood. Google everything I'm talking about, and you will see that these little tiny changes are in fact there. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Is it mirror, mirror on the wall, or is it
magic mirror on the wall? Who is the fairest one of all?
Go look it up. Magic mirror on the wall, both times. Star Wars. Is it Luke, I am your father, or
no, I am your father?
I remember Luke, I am your father, very, very distinctly. I even went so far as to look to other movies that made reference to it, like Tommy Boy.
La la la, Luke, Luke, I am your father.
And he clearly says, Luke, I am your father. That's how I remember it. That's how most of us remember it. But it's, no, I'm your father. That's quite the iconic line to get wrong. The Brady Bunch is a very strange one. Now, apparently, I know there was the Brady Bunch, the series, and I was actually a fan of it, and I watched it. Did you know that there was a Brady Bunch Hour, which was a variety show? I never heard of this.
The Brady Bunch Hour!
Look it up. It's there. There was also a reboot Brady Bunch, a 90s version of the show. I just found out about this. Never, ever, ever heard of it. If you look up the Variety Hour, it's absolutely absurd. It seems completely like something that's so embarrassing that you couldn't help but remember how bad it was. Jaws. Is it, we're gonna need a bigger boat?
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Well, apparently it's, you're gonna need a bigger boat. I was shocked also. Again, I remember this line being made reference to in Clerks. So I looked it up.
Salsa shark. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's going on here? Am I the only one that remembers things wrong? Or is it just some kind of cultural, psychological morph effect where we all just misquoted these lines, these very, very, very iconic lines, mind you? It's strange that they were perpetuated incorrectly without somebody correcting us. Some other ones. Depends diapers, right? Grown-up diapers. Is it depends? Or is it depend? I looked it up. Apparently it's depend. I remember very distinctly a running joke. Did you shit your pants? I don't know, depends. That joke wouldn't work if it was singular. Is it Febreze with 2 E's or 1 E? I remember very, very distinctly 2 E's. 1 E, apparently. Looney Tunes. How is tunes spelled? T-O-O-N-S or T-U-N-E-S? I distinctly remember it being Looney Tunes as an abbreviation to cartoons. And I remember this because I was a graphic design major. And I remember thinking about the aesthetic balance of the 2 O's on one side and the two O's on the other side, and then how it was witty, that it was, they sang a lot, but it was like cartoons. And I remember thinking these things, but no, it's tunes, T-U-N-E-S, like iTunes. What the fuck is going on? Prince. If you listen to Let's Go Crazy, and I went back and checked every one of these, I distinctly remember listening to Purple Rain no less than 4,000 times. I had the tape. I wore out the tape so much that I bought 2 more tapes because I kept wearing the tape out. I loved that CD. And in the song Let's Go Crazy, he says, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to celebrate this thing we call life." Well, now that's changed.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
To get through this thing. Very different message. If you notice the subtlety, the tweak, it's almost like it's being manipulated to be a little bit more dark. More examples. Is it Sex and the City or Sex in the City? Well, now this one, I've heard it more than I've seen it. The and, when you speak it quickly, turns into an N, like an apostrophe N. So it's very arguable that we just all heard it wrong. Sex in the City. Sex in the City. To me, Sex and the City doesn't make as much sense at all as Sex in the City, because these are girls in the city having sex. That's what the show's about. Another one that's kind of explainable, but I read the book and I clearly remember the book, is Interview with the Vampire. I clearly remember Interview with a Vampire because he's one of many vampires. Interview with a Vampire. Now, again, it's arguable. The TH from the with and the TH from the kind of merge together and you get Interview with the Vampire. Interview with a Vampire. So that's arguable, but I remember seeing the book in front of my face. And again, aesthetically speaking, with and the, especially because of those TH sounds and especially because what can occur when you pronounce it with the sound there, it's going to be linguistically kind of confusing. It would be something an editor would catch and say, make it Interview with a Vampire. So it's definitely something that would be more correcter if it was an A. Field of Dreams. I've seen this movie and I know it's an older movie, but if you build it, they will come.
If you build, he will come.
He? Now, there's a lot more examples, but these are the ones that really stood out to me because I watched all these movies. I loved all these movies, these books, Prince, and the Depends joke, of course. It was something that was in everyday language. These quotes were applied daily. And finally, Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates, right?
Life was like a box of chocolates.
Apparently not. Its life was like a box of chocolates. If you're like me, you now are creeped out bigger than shit. I know I was. I spent hours and hours scouring the internet looking for some way to make sense of this. Have we all collectively lost our minds? Are we in fact living in an alternate dimension where some of us remember things differently? Why is it these lines, these iconic pieces, the turning points in movies, the central theme of a movie? Now, with the Febreze and things like that, Depends, you can argue that the brand has evolved. They dropped the S, they dropped the E. Okay, but I have a personal theory. I believe the internet is a very powerful tool, and I do absolutely 100% believe that irrespective of this phenomenon that we are experiencing, if this wasn't even an issue, there are still top secret campaigns going on to subvert the internet and make it an unreliable source of information. There's all kinds of disinformation being added every single day to confuse the truth with disinformation. So we all will eventually throw up our hands and say, what are you gonna do? Can't believe the internet. Or perhaps it's another social experiment like War of the Worlds was. If you remember War of the Worlds, people were jumping off of buildings and killing themselves because they thought we were under alien attack. This seems like akin, if you look at it, it seems like a very subtle but blatant case of gaslighting. This is the effect it's having, and you know, I suggest that maybe it's something a little bit more simple. Now, it would be insanely hard to go back and change these things and make them sound like they weren't cut in and everything like that, but I would not put it past the powers that be. Beyond that, why not? Maybe it's true. Maybe it's all true. I mean, quantum physicists are now saying pretty much beyond the shadow of a doubt that we are living in a hologram. This is a hologram, and there is a programmer, there is intelligent design, if you want to call it God, if you want to call it a programmer, if you want to call it an architect. Entropy, the third law of thermodynamics, tells you that it's impossible that we evolved on our own. If you are just sitting there looking at a bunch of wood, it's not going to automatically create a house, right? So if you're building a house and you just leave it there, it degenerates and it falls apart if you don't take care of it. Hence, entropy. There had to be an intelligent interjection to our creation. And because we are living on a hologram, we might want to look into that one. So if it's not the powers that be, which some of these probably are, and if they are savvy to this, they're probably going to exploit it and keep adding to it, because it's definitely fucking with us all. But keep in mind that all these things are a possibility. I'm not sure at this point what kind of conclusion I want to draw, but I felt that it was definitely relevant to bring it up. I definitely encourage you to Google everything that I've said. Please don't take my word for it. Look into it. It's very, very interesting to say the least. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and let me know what you think. If you've got any questions about pretty much anything, you're more than welcome to ask. I will do my best to answer in a timely manner. Until then, Vlad V, Beyond Polarity. Take care.